You people need to learn. This isn't some Goodwill where you can just touch everything without buying. The words cracked through Eclat Boutique like glass breaking under pressure. Every shopper froze. Every head turned. Jordan Hayes stood by the silk scarves, hand midair, still, measured. The manager, Vanessa Pritchard, stormed forward, heels on marble, eyes blazing. Behind her, the security guard shifted to the door, blocking the exit. 20 minutes touching everything, Vanessa said. 0 purchases. We run a business, not a museum for… She stopped. Didn't have to finish. Phones came up. Recording. Jordan's pulse steadied. She reached into her bag, slow, deliberate, and pulled out a folded document. Riverside Galleria. Tenant Handbook. Section 47, she said evenly. All guests are entitled… Vanessa snatched it, crumpled, dropped it like trash. I don't care what that says. My store, my rules. Static hissed as the guard pressed his radio. Officer Barnes to Eclat, trespassing situation. A reply, copy, 90 seconds out. Jordan didn't move, didn't blink. She'd heard this tone before. Boardrooms, elevators, country clubs, different uniforms, same contempt. The lights hummed, the air stilled. Vanessa smiled. You should have left when you had the chance. Boots echoed. Closer. Each step, a verdict. 6 hours earlier, the alarm on Jordan's nightstand chimed at exactly 5:45 a.m. She didn't hit snooze. Never did. Her hand reached out in the darkness, silenced the sound with a single tap, and she was already sitting up before her eyes fully opened. Discipline wasn't about convenience. It was about consistency. By 6:02 a.m., she was lacing up her running shoes. The waterfront park was 4 miles from her front door, 2 miles out, 2 miles back. Same route every morning, same pace, same memorial bench at the halfway point, the one with the bronze plaque that read, "In memory of Robert Hayes, 1952-2018. She ran alone, but she was never really alone. Her father's voice still lived in her head. When they try to make you small, stand taller. He'd said it when she was 12 and the only black girl in her honors class. Said it again when she was 25 and the only woman in the boardroom. Said it the last time she saw him, his hand gripping hers. Don't let them make you small, baby girl. You were born to take up space." Jordan touched the plaque as she passed, kept running. By 7:15 a.m. she was home, showered, dressed in joggers and a faded Howard sweatshirt. Her laptop sat open on the desk, screen glowing with a spreadsheet titled Q3 Site Assessments, Confidential. One line was highlighted in yellow, Riverside Galleria, Thursday, incognito. She pulled out a sticky note and wrote, Observe. Don't intervene. See what they see when they don't know you're watching. The French press on her desk was already brewing. She poured herself a cup, carried it to the small table where 3 handwritten thank you cards sat waiting. Blue ink? Cream stationery. One for Marcus Chen, her COO, thanking him for covering last week's investor meeting. One for a nonprofit director. One for Simone's English teacher who'd stayed late to help her daughter prep for the SATs. Jordan sealed each envelope, stamped them, set them by her purse. Small gestures, intentional acts. Her father had taught her that. People remember how you made them feel. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. You sure about going in unannounced? We could send someone else. She typed back, If they don't know I'm watching, I see the truth. 3 dots appeared. Then, fair. But if this goes sideways, don't say I didn't warn you. Jordan opened the file folder beside her laptop. Complaint logs, incident summaries, tenant reviews, all related to Riverside Galleria. 12 complaints filed against Eclat Boutique in 18 months. 9 involved customers of color. All dismissed as misunderstandings by the leasing director. No follow-up, no investigation. Jordan's jaw tightened. She'd seen this pattern before, at other properties, other cities. The same dismissive language, the same refusal to see what was right in front of them. This was why she did undercover audits. People behaved differently when they thought no one important was watching. If she wanted to know how her properties treated people, real people, everyday people, people who looked like her, she had to see it for herself. She closed the folder and walked upstairs to get dressed. In her closet, she pushed past the tailored blazers and silk blouses. Today, she wanted something different, something quiet. Linen pants, beige, slightly wrinkled. Simple white blouse, ballet flats, small crossbody bag with worn leather edges. She looked at herself in the mirror and nodded. "Let's see how they treat someone who doesn't scream executive," she murmured. Her phone buzzed. Simone. "Mom, please don't buy another blazer." Jordan smiled and typed back, "No promises." By 10 a.m., she was in her car, driving toward Riverside Galleria with a folder of notes, a phone full of documentation tools, and years of knowing exactly what to look for. She wasn't going there to shop. She was going there to see if the people running her property understood what respect looked like. And if they didn't, they'd learn. The hard way. The parking meter swallowed her quarters. Click, click, click. Jordan walked toward the entrance. Public lot, regular spot, just another shopper on a Thursday morning. That was the plan. The glass doors whooshed open. Cold air, cinnamon rolls, expensive perfume mixing in that carefully designed mall smell that made you want to spend money you didn't have. Riverside Galleria, her building. But today, nobody knew that. The fountain in the center splashed softly. Sunlight poured through the skylight 3 stories up. A mom pushed a stroller past. 2 old women sat on a bench sharing a newspaper. Normal. Quiet. Exactly what a Thursday mid-morning should look like. Jordan headed for the bathrooms first. Basic test. You could tell everything about a property by whether management gave a damn about the restrooms. Door swung shut behind her. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Soap dispenser, empty. Paper towels, empty. Stall door hanging off one hinge. Jordan pulled out her phone. Snap, snap, snap. 10:52 a.m. documented. She tried washing her hands. Cold water, no soap, and dried them on her jeans. Already failing. The food court had maybe 15 people scattered across 50 tables. Old man with coffee and a crossword. Construction worker eating a sandwich alone. 2 women in scrubs laughing over salads. Jordan ordered a smoothie. The girl behind the counter, Maria, looked exhausted. "First time here?" she asked, hitting the blender button. "Just visiting," Jordan said. Maria poured the smoothie into a cup. "Welcome. Heads up though. Bathrooms are a mess today. Maintenance called in sick and nobody bothered to cover." She handed it over with an apologetic smile. "Someone should really do something about that." "Yeah," Jordan said quietly. "Someone should." She found a corner table, sat, watched. Security guard by the elevators. Officer Barnes, his badge said, scrolling through his phone like he was getting paid to browse Instagram instead of, actually securing anything. Old woman 20 feet away struggling with shopping bags. He never looked up. Jordan made a mental note. Strike 1. Electronics store was next. She stood at the laptop display for 8 minutes. 8. Counting every second while some kid named Derek helped a white teenager who'd walked in after her. "Oh yeah, that graphics card is sick for gaming, dude." Derek walked past Jordan twice, right past her, like she was invisible. Finally, he glanced her way. "Need something?" Flat voice, bored. Like helping her was doing her a favor. "Just looking," Jordan said. He walked off. She snapped a photo of his name tag. Strike 2. Bookstore was worse. The clerk, white woman, maybe 30, arms crossed, watched Jordan the entire time she browsed. Eyes tracking her through mystery, then biography, then fiction. Never said hello. Never offered help. Just watched. Like Jordan was about to slip a hardcover into her purse and sprint for the exit. Jordan walked out without buying anything. Let the woman stare at her empty hands and wonder if maybe she'd been wrong. She had been, but Jordan knew she'd never admit it. Strike 3. Then, finally, something good. Kapoor and Daughters. Small jewelry shop tucked between a shoe store and a vitamin place. The door chimed when Jordan walked in. Smelled like sandalwood. Warm lights. Clean display cases. A woman in a teal sari appeared from the back room, smiling like she actually wanted customers. "Good afternoon, dear. Please browse. I'm here if you need anything." Not hovering. Not suspicious. Just Nice. Mrs. Kapoor, she said her name was, showed Jordan handcrafted bracelets from Mumbai, told stories about her family, offered chai even though Jordan still had her smoothie. Real hospitality. The kind that made you remember why you liked people. You work nearby? Mrs. Kapoor asked, wrapping up a small bracelet Jordan decided to buy. Property management, Jordan said carefully. Ah. Mrs. Kapoor's hands paused on the tissue paper. She looked at the door, then back at Jordan, voice dropping. If you're checking on properties, you might want to look at the second floor. East side. Eclat Boutique. Jordan's heart kicked. What about it? I don't like speaking badly about other businesses, Mrs. Kapoor said slowly, but I've seen things, the way they treat certain customers. She shook her head. My niece came here last year, college girl, dressed nice. They followed her around that store like she was going to steal something. 20 minutes of that, she won't even visit me here anymore because of what they did. Did she complain? Mrs. Kapoor's smile turned bitter. To who? Management doesn't care. We all know it. We just try to be better in our own stores and hope that's enough. Jordan took the small bag. Thank you, she said, for telling me. Mrs. Kapoor squeezed her hand. You seem like good people. Jordan stepped back into the mall. The good feeling vanished instantly. She found a bench, sat down, pulled out her notebook and started writing fast. Bathrooms neglected. Security useless. Staff discriminatory. Eclat problem. Her phone buzzed. Marcus, how's it going? Jordan stared at the text. How was it going? She'd been here 2 hours and seen enough to fire half the staff. She typed, worse than I thought. About to check Eclat. Marcus. Be careful. Be careful. In her own damn building. Another buzz. Instagram notification. Riverside Neighborhood Watch. Another incident here today. When will management do something? Hashtag after hashtag. Angry emojis. Hundreds of comments. She scrolled. Got followed in that store last month. My sister had the receipt and they still called security. Let me guess which store we're talking about. Each line hit like a heartbeat. 10 posts. 50 stories. One pattern. Then a video autoplayed. Security guard tailing a young black man through the atrium. Step for step. When the man turned, the guard pretended to check his radio. Jordan's breath caught. It wasn't new, but seeing it in pixels hurt different. She flipped to TikTok. Anger Riverside Galleria. Hundreds of clips. Same mall. Same story. Her phone buzzed. Another notification. Simone. Mom, did you see this? Screenshot of yet another video. Same floor. Different face. Jordan closed the apps, set her phone down, and just sat there for a moment. Breathing. This wasn't hidden anymore. This wasn't 9 complaints buried in a file cabinet that management ignored. This was public. This was thousands of people saying the same thing. This place has a problem. This place treats us like criminals. This place doesn't want us here. And the people running it had no idea what was about to hit them. Jordan stood up, grabbed her bag, turned toward the escalator. Second floor. Eclat Boutique. 12 complaints. 9 from people of color. 0 action taken. The place Mrs. Kapoor's niece wouldn't come back to. The place trending on social media for all the wrong reasons. Jordan stepped onto the escalator. It hummed under her feet, carrying her up. She could see the store now. Big windows, fancy lighting, mannequins in $1,000 outfits. 2 people inside. Blonde woman near the register, moving fast, annoyed about something. Tall guy by the door, arms crossed, standing like a bouncer. The woman looked up, saw Jordan, and Jordan watched it happen. The look. Up and down, wrinkled pants, old bag, flat shoes, the decision forming behind those eyes. She doesn't belong here. 2 seconds. That's all it took. Jordan pushed the door open, walked in. The air got colder. Not the AC, something else. The blonde woman straightened up. The tall guy's arms dropped to his sides, both staring now, not like employees, like guards. Jordan stood just inside the door, let it close behind her with a soft click, and she felt it. That tightness in her chest she'd felt 1,000 times before. The weight of being judged before you'd done a damn thing except walk into a space someone decided you didn't deserve to be in. But this time was different. This time she wasn't going to shrink, wasn't going to apologize, wasn't going to make herself smaller so they'd feel more comfortable. This time, she was going to let them show exactly who they were. Every word, every look, every single dismissive move. And when they were done, when they'd proven everything she already knew, then Jordan Hayes would show them who she was. The blonde woman took a step forward, heels clicking on the polished floor, loud, sharp, intentional, and Jordan, CEO, owner, the person who owned every inch of floor those heels were clicking on, didn't move, didn't flinch, just stood there, waiting. Bring it. The air inside Eclat Boutique felt different the moment Jordan crossed the threshold, colder, thinner, like she'd stepped into a space that didn't want her there. Vanessa Pritchard stood near a display of handbags, rearranging them with sharp, precise movements. Her head turned when the door chimed. Eyes locked on Jordan immediately. Assessing, judging, deciding. All in 2 seconds. Jordan moved toward a rack of silk scarves near the window. Let her fingers brush the fabric lightly. Soft, expensive, the kind of quality you could feel. The heels started clicking. Fast, deliberate. Getting closer. Jordan didn't turn around. She examined a cream-colored scarf with delicate embroidery along the edge. The price tag said $340s, handwritten in felt marker. Sloppy for a luxury store. Finding everything okay? Vanessa's voice came from behind her. Sweet words, poison tone, the kind of question that wasn't really a question at all. Jordan turned slowly. Vanessa stood 3 feet away, arms crossed, smile plastered on her face like cheap makeup. Blonde bob perfect, designer blouse crisp, expression screaming, "I don't want you here." "Just browsing, thank you," Jordan said evenly. Vanessa's smile tightened at the edges. "Well," a pause. "We prefer customers who are serious about purchasing. This isn't really a casual browsing kind of store." Jordan felt the first spark of heat in her chest. "I'm considering several items," she said calmly. "That requires looking at them." "You've been standing here for…" Vanessa glanced at her watch with exaggerated concern. "Quite a while now." 2 minutes. Jordan had checked her watch when she walked in at 2:43 p.m. It was now 2:45, but correcting her would only make this worse. Jordan moved toward the handbag display. Vanessa moved too, positioned herself directly in Jordan's path. Blocking. "Ma'am," Vanessa said, voice dropping the fake sweetness now, "this isn't a museum. If you're not buying, I need you to leave." The words landed like stones. Jordan stopped walking. "Excuse me?" she said quietly. "You heard me." Vanessa's arms stayed crossed. Her chin lifted. "We cater to serious clientele, not people who come in to waste our time. People." There it was, that word, loaded like a gun. Movement from the back of the store caught Jordan's eye. Kyle Brennan emerged from the stockroom. Tall, built like he spent his life in a gym, arms the size of Jordan's thighs. He didn't say anything, just walked over and stood beside Vanessa. 6'2" of intimidation. His eyes flicked to Jordan's hand. She was still holding her phone from checking the time. "Yeah," Kyle said, voice low and deliberate. "We've had issues with people taking photos of merchandise, posting them online without permission." Jordan's jaw tightened. She held up her phone, unlocked it, opened her camera roll, empty except for the photos she'd taken earlier. Bathroom soap dispensers, Derek's name tag, a few maintenance issues. Nothing from inside the store. "I haven't taken any photos," she said calmly, turning the screen toward them. "Would you like to check?" Vanessa barely glanced at it. "That won't be necessary." Her hand moved, reaching toward Jordan's elbow. "But I think you've browsed enough." Jordan stepped back fast. "Please don't touch me," she said. Voice firm, quiet. A line drawn in the sand. Vanessa's hand froze mid-reach. Her face flushed pink. For a second, nobody moved. Then, "Oh my God," a voice said from near the entrance. Jordan turned. A teenage girl stood just inside the door, 17 maybe. Black, braids pulled high, phone already raised. "Recording." Vanessa whipped around. "No recording in my store," she snapped. But she didn't move to stop the girl, just stood there, flustered while the red light stayed on. Outside the storefront, footsteps slowed. Voices dropped to murmurs. Mrs. Kapoor appeared in the doorway, the jewelry store owner from earlier, concern written across her face. "Is everything all right?" she asked gently. Vanessa's expression smoothed instantly, professional mask sliding back into place. "Just handling a situation," she said, voice tight but controlled. Mrs. Kapoor looked at Jordan. Their eyes met. "Do you need help?" the older woman's face asked. Jordan gave a tiny shake of her head. "Not yet." Kyle's hand drifted toward the walkie-talkie clipped to his hip. "Ma'am," he said, looking at Jordan, "if you don't leave voluntarily, we'll call security." His fingers hovered over the radio. Threat delivered. The murmurs outside grew louder, concern mixing with curiosity. Vanessa's voice rose, sharp and cutting. "You haven't bought anything," she said, gesturing wildly at Jordan. "You're just… She couldn't even finish the sentence. Too angry, too righteous. Then she exploded. "You people need to learn. This isn't some goodwill where you can just touch everything without buying." Silence. Complete. Absolute. The kind of silence that happens when everyone stops breathing at once. It wasn't new, but it still burned. Somewhere in the distance, the fountain still trickled. The elevator dinged, but the atrium itself, dead quiet. Vanessa stormed forward, heels striking marble, sharp, violent, each step echoing through the silence like gunshots. 20 minutes touching everything," she spat. "0 purchases. We run a business, not a museum for…" She stopped. Didn't have to finish. Everyone knew what she meant. Jordan's throat tightened. Not fear. Something deeper. Older. The exhaustion of being this again. The problem, the threat, the one who needed to be controlled. Different rooms, same script. She reached into her bag, slow, deliberate, and pulled out the folded document. Riverside Galleria. Tenant Handbook. The paper rustled loud in the quiet. Section 4-7, Jordan read aloud, voice steady despite the rage burning in her chest. All guests are entitled to a respectful browsing experience without harassment based on appearance, race, or perceived economic status. She looked up, met Vanessa's eyes directly. "I'm a guest," Jordan said quietly. "Where's the respect?" Vanessa's face went from red to purple. She lunged forward, snatched the handbook right out of Jordan's hands, crumpled it. The paper crackled like breaking bones, and dropped it on the polished floor between them. Jordan stared at the crumpled paper. Her father's voice echoed in her head. "Baby girl, some battles you walk away from, and some you stand and fight." "I don't care what that says," Vanessa spat. "My store, my rules." Static hissed through the boutique. Kyle pressed the button on his walkie-talkie. "Officer Barnes to Éclat," he said, voice flat and official. "Trespassing situation." A male voice crackled back. "Copy, 90 seconds out." Jordan didn't move, didn't blink. The lights hummed overhead. Low, electric, constant. Vanessa smiled. "Victorious. You should have left when you had the chance," she said. Boots echoed from somewhere beyond the glass. Heavy, fast, getting closer with every second. Each step sounding like a verdict being delivered. A quiet voice near the entrance. She didn't do anything. The shuffle of feet outside. More people stopping, gathering. Jordan's hands trembled at her sides. She pressed them flat against her thighs to still them. "Don't cry. Not here. Not in front of them." Different footsteps approached, measured, authoritative. A woman appeared in the doorway. 50s, white, security uniform crisp. Badge. Diane Westbrook, Chief of Security. She assessed the scene with practiced efficiency. Jordan standing center. Vanessa flushed and angry. Kyle with his radio. Mrs. Kapoor watching from the doorway. The crumpled handbook on the floor. "What's the issue here?" Diane asked, voice calm and authoritative. Vanessa jumped in immediately. "This woman has been loitering for over 30 minutes, refusing to make a purchase or leave. We've asked her multiple times." "I've been here 12 minutes, Jordan interrupted, pulling out her phone. She held up the screen, showing the timestamp. "I walked in at 2:43 p.m. It's now 2:55 p.m. That's 12 minutes, not 30. Diane glanced at the phone. Then she looked at Jordan. Up and down. taking in the wrinkled linen pants, the worn crossbody bag, the flat shoes. Her expression shifted. Decision made. She turned back to Vanessa. "Has she damaged anything?" Diane asked. Vanessa hesitated. "No, but it's the principle. Has she stolen anything?" "Well, no, but has she threatened anyone?" "She's being difficult and that's not what I asked," Diane said flatly. Vanessa's mouth snapped shut. Diane turned back to Jordan, voice taking on that false patient tone. "Ma'am, I understand you want to shop, but store owners have the right to refuse service. If they're asking you to leave, I suggest you move along. Avoid any further complications." Jordan felt something cold settle in her chest. System protecting system. Badge protecting business. White protecting white. "What policy am I violating?" Jordan asked quietly. "You were asked to leave," Diane said simply. "That's all the policy that matters. Private property. They can refuse service to anyone for any reason. So I'm advising you, as a courtesy, to exit the store now before this becomes a trespassing issue." "I haven't touched anything except 2 scarves, which I put back exactly where I found them," Jordan said, voice harder now. "I haven't raised my voice, haven't been rude, haven't caused any disruption. So what reason are they refusing me service for?" Diane's jaw tightened. "Ma'am, no," Jordan said, voice cutting through like steel. "I want to know. What is the actual reason I'm being asked to leave?" The store went silent. Vanessa looked at Diane. Kyle looked at Vanessa. Diane looked at Jordan. And nobody said the truth out loud. Because they didn't have to. Everyone already knew. A quiet voice from outside. "This is wrong." The shuffle of feet on marble. More people stopping. Diane noticed. Her expression flickered. "Ma'am," she said, voice dropping lower, more controlled. "You can walk out now on your own. Or I can call additional security and we can escort you. But either way, you're leaving. What's it going to be?" Jordan's hands shook. Her throat burned. Her eyes stung. But she stood there, surrounded by hostility, facing down 3 people who decided she didn't belong. And she made a choice. "Call them," Jordan said quietly. Diane blinked. "What?" "Call additional security," Jordan repeated, voice steady as stone. "Call your supervisor. Call whoever you need to call. Because I'm not leaving until someone with actual authority explains to me, in front of all these witnesses, exactly what rule I've broken." Vanessa gasped. "Are you serious?" "I'm dead serious," Jordan said, turning to face her. "You want me out? Then put it on record. State the reason, file the paperwork. Do it officially. So when this goes viral, everyone knows exactly why you kicked out a black woman who came here to shop." Vanessa's face went white. Kyle shifted his weight. A voice outside, louder now. "This is about to get bad." The boots were closer now. Almost here. Jordan stood in the center of that boutique. Alone, outnumbered, outmatched, but not backing down. The world was watching. And whatever happened next, she was ready. The boots stopped just outside the storefront. Then the door opened. Officer Barnes stepped through. Same guard Jordan had seen scrolling his phone instead of doing his job earlier. Now he was here to do exactly the wrong job. He took in the scene with a glance. Jordan standing in the middle of the store. Vanessa vibrating with righteous fury. Kyle tense beside her. Diane waiting, arms crossed. And beyond the glass, people gathered, watching, waiting to see what would happen next. "What's the situation?" Barnes asked, voice flat and professional. Vanessa didn't wait for Diane to speak. "I want her trespassed from the entire mall," she said, pointing at Jordan like she was evidence in a trial. "Not just my store, the whole property. She's clearly here to cause trouble." Barnes looked at Jordan, up and down. Same assessment everyone else had done. Worn clothes, tired bag, no obvious wealth. His hand moved to rest near the cuffs on his belt. "Ma'am," he said slowly, "you need to exit the premises. Now." Jordan's voice stayed steady. "For what reason?" "Trespassing," Barnes said simply. "Store management has asked you to leave multiple times. You've refused. That's trespassing." "I'm a customer," Jordan said. "Not according to them." Barnes took a step closer. "Look, you can make this easy or you can make this hard. But either way, you're leaving." Jordan's hands trembled at her sides. Not fear. Rage. I have a right to know what I'm being accused of, she said. You were asked to leave private property and refused, Barnes replied, like he was reading from a script. That's all the accusation that matters. Outside, the murmurs grew louder. Kyle shifted his weight, then moved. Stepped forward, reached for Jordan's arm. Jordan sidestepped fast. Muscle memory from years of navigating spaces where people thought they had the right to put hands on her. Touch me, she said, voice sharp as glass, and that's assault. I know my rights. Kyle's hand froze mid-reach. His face flushed. Barnes cleared his throat. Ma'am, you're making this more difficult than it needs to be. I'm not making anything difficult, Jordan said, voice rising despite herself. I came here to shop. That's all I did. I walked in. I looked at merchandise, and now I'm being threatened with arrest? Her throat tightened. She could feel the tears burning behind her eyes. Not now, not here. She blinked hard, forced them back. I'd like to speak with mall management, she said, voice controlled again. Someone from property management, not security, not store staff, someone with actual authority. Vanessa laughed. Sharp, cruel, delighted. Oh, now she wants a manager, she said, turning toward the people watching outside like they were in on the joke with her. Classic, right? These people always want to escalate. Never just accept responsibility and leave. These people. Out loud. Again. Jordan's jaw clenched so hard her teeth ached. The crowd outside reacted. Voices overlapping. Some angry, some uncomfortable, some agreeing. A white woman's voice, clear through the glass. Just leave. You're making a scene. Another voice. Younger, female. She didn't do anything. Mrs. Kapoor stood near the entrance. Silent now, but her phone was up. Recording. Bearing witness. An older black man in a janitor's uniform stood further back, arms crossed, shaking his head slowly. Something in his expression said, I've seen this before. Barnes stepped closer to Jordan. Ma'am, I'm asking you one final time. And I'm telling you, Jordan said, voice shaking now, not fear, pure rage. I want to speak to someone in actual authority. Someone who can explain to me why I'm being treated like a criminal for shopping. Vanessa scoffed. You weren't shopping. You were loitering. I was browsing, Jordan fired back. For 12 minutes. That's not loitering. That's normal customer behavior. Not in my store, Vanessa said. Jordan felt her composure cracking. Just slightly. Just enough that her hands shook when she gripped her bag strap. Just enough that her eyes stung with tears she refused to let fall. Not here, not in front of them. Barnes moved, hand reaching toward Jordan's arm again. Jordan stepped back, voice cold. Touch me and that's assault. I told you. I know my rights. And so do the people recording this. She gestured toward the storefront without looking away from Barnes. Barnes's hand hovered in the air. The shuffle of feet outside grew louder, more people stopping, gathering. Someone started a low chant. Let her shop, let her shop. Others joined in. The sound grew. Barnes's face flushed. Diane stepped forward, voice sharp. Everyone needs to calm down. I am calm, Jordan said, voice tight but controlled. They're the ones threatening me. They're the ones trying to put hands on me. I'm standing here. That's all I'm doing. Movement from the left caught everyone's attention. A woman approached. White, 40s, expensive suit, hair pulled back tight. She carried a piece of paper like it was a weapon. Tricia Lamarck, owner of Lux & Cobas at the boutique next door. Jordan had noted her store earlier, hadn't gone in, but she'd read the complaints. Tricia walked right up to the center of the confrontation. Heels clicking, confident, ready to pile on. Tricia waved the paper in the air. Vanessa's right, she announced, voice carrying across the store and into the atrium beyond. Galleria Merchant Agreement, Section 9.2. Tenants reserve the right to refuse service to any individual deemed disruptive. She turned to look directly at Jordan. You're being disruptive. Jordan stared at her. Another store owner. Another person piling on. Another voice defending the indefensible. I haven't raised my voice once, Jordan said, voice tight but controlled. I haven't touched merchandise improperly. I haven't threatened anyone. The only disruption is the accusation itself. She stepped closer to Tricia, close enough to see the other woman's eyes widen slightly. And you might want to reread Section 9.2, Jordan continued, voice dropping lower, more dangerous, because it requires documented cause, not assumption, not profiling, documented cause. Trisha's confident expression faltered, just for a second. "Are you a lawyer now?" she asked, trying to recover. Jordan paused. Let the silence stretch. Let them wonder. Then, "No," she said quietly, "but I know what I signed." The words hung in the air. What I signed. Not what the handbook says. Not what the policy is. What I signed. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. Trisha frowned. Diane's head tilted slightly, like she'd heard something off but couldn't place it. But none of them asked. None of them pushed. They were too busy being right. "This is ridiculous," Vanessa said, throwing her hands up. "Barnes, remove her. I don't care if she wants to file complaints or call lawyers or whatever. Get her out of my store and off this property." Barnes looked at Jordan, hesitated. Just for a second. The crowd was loud now. The cameras were rolling. This wasn't going to be quiet. "Ma'am," he said carefully, "if you could just—" "I'll leave," Jordan said. Her voice was tight, strained, like the words cost her something to say. "I'll leave," she repeated, "but I'm filing a formal complaint. Against this store, against your security protocols, against every single person who participated in this." She looked at each of them in turn. Vanessa, Kyle, Diane, Barnes, Trisha, memorizing faces. "Good luck with that," Vanessa said with a smirk. She turned to Kyle, actually high-fived him. The sound of palm hitting palm echoed through the quiet store. "Management doesn't care about whiners," Vanessa added, voice dripping with satisfaction. The crowd murmured, angry voices mixing with uncomfortable silence. The older black man, Earl, his name tag read, shook his head slowly, voice just loud enough for those nearby to hear. "Same thing happened to my daughter here last year," he muttered. "Nothing changed then. Won't change now." Jordan turned toward the exit, head high, spine straight, every step measured and deliberate. She could feel them watching her, could feel the weight of eyes, some sympathetic, some hostile, most just curious. Her throat burned with unshed tears. Her hand shook despite her best efforts to still them, but she didn't run, didn't rush, didn't give them the satisfaction of seeing her break. She walked through the store like she owned it, because she did, but they didn't know that yet. The atrium opened up around her. Voices followed. Vanessa's voice carried through the space. "Finally. Some people just don't know when they're not wanted." Laughter followed. Kyle's deep rumble. Trisha's sharp cackle. Jordan kept walking, past Mrs. Kapoor, who reached out and touched her arm gently. Past the people with their phones still raised. Past the woman who'd said she was making a scene. Past all of them. To the elevators. She pressed the button. It glowed. Nothing happened. Still broken. Of course. Jordan turned toward the stairs. The door was heavy. Old, industrial. The kind that hadn't been updated since the building opened. She pushed through. Let it close behind her with a hollow clang. And only then, only when she was alone in the concrete echo chamber, did she let her shoulders drop? Did she let her breath come in shaking gasps? Did she press her back against the cold wall and close her eyes? Not crying. Not yet. But close. So close. Her phone buzzed. Multiple times. Texts flooding in. She pulled it out with shaking hands. Marcus. Jordan. Call me now. This is everywhere. Simone. Mom, are you okay? Someone sent me a video. Is that you? Unknown number. This is Channel 7 News. We'd like to interview you regarding incident at Riverside Galleria. Another unknown. Community Legal Aid. Saw the live stream. We can help. Jordan stared at the screen. Then she switched to TikTok. Searched. Riverside Galleria. Brianna's video was already the top result. Posted 11 minutes ago. Karen manager racially profiles. Black woman at Galleria. Watch till end. 500 views when she clicked. She watched the number climb in real time. 100. The comment section was on fire. "This is disgusting. I'll never shop there again. Someone ID this manager. That security guard needs to be fired. The way she kept her composure. I would have lost it. Jordan closed the app, slid down the wall until she was sitting on the concrete landing, head in her hands. She'd wanted documentation, she'd wanted evidence, she'd wanted to see with her own eyes what her employees were doing to people who looked like her. Well, she'd gotten it, and it was worse than she'd imagined. The humiliation, the mockery, the casual cruelty, the high fives while she walked away fighting tears. Jordan's hands clenched into fists. She'd given them every chance, multiple opportunities to do the right thing, to treat her with basic human decency, and they'd failed. Every single one of them. Her phone buzzed again. Marcus, where are you? Security told me there was an incident at Eclat. Please respond. Jordan stared at the text. Then she stood up, wiped her eyes, straightened her shirt, and started climbing the stairs. Not going home, not running away. Going up. To the 3rd floor. To the administrative offices. To the place where this whole rotten system could be dismantled from the top down. They wanted to trespass her from the building? Fine. Let them try. But first, Jordan Hayes was going to show them exactly who they'd just humiliated. And then the real reckoning would begin. Jordan pushed through the stairwell door on the 3rd floor. Not the customer entrance. The service elevator. Staff only. She swiped her access card, the one that worked on every door in the building. The elevator hummed, carried her up, away from the chaos below, toward the place where she actually held power. The doors opened. 3rd floor admin wing. Carpeted. Quiet. Professional. A different world from the marble and glass below. The receptionist looked up from her desk. Keisha, 20-something. Black woman with box braids and a bright smile that faltered the second she saw Jordan's face. Hey, Ms. Hayes, Keisha said slowly, concern creeping into her voice. Wasn't expecting you today. 50% reveal. Staff knew her, recognized her on sight, called her by name. While 3 floors below, Vanessa had looked at her and seen nothing but someone who didn't belong. You okay? Keisha asked, standing up. You look… She trailed off, taking in the wrinkled clothes, the smudged makeup, the exhaustion. Jordan waved her off. Long afternoon, she said, voice tight. Is Marcus in? Conference room, Keisha said, already reaching for her phone. I'll buzz him. Don't. Jordan was already walking. I'll find him. Marcus Chen emerged from his office before she got there, saw her face, stopped dead. What happened? He asked immediately. No pleasantries, no small talk, just straight to it. Jordan walked past him into the conference room, closed the door, and recounted the story in clipped sentences. No emotion, just facts. Time, location, names, actions, words. Marcus listened with his arms crossed, jaw getting tighter with every sentence. When she finished, he exploded. I told you undercover audits were risky. This is exactly why we do them. Jordan cut him off, voice sharp as glass. If they treat me like this, someone who owns the damn place, imagine how they treat other black women who don't have that protection. Marcus ran a hand through his hair, paced, stopped. What do you need? He asked. Files, Jordan said. Complaint logs for Eclat, everything from the last 18 months. Marcus left, came back 5 minutes later with a thick folder, set it on the conference table. Jordan opened it, started reading. 12 incidents, 18 months, 9 involving customers of color. Every single one dismissed by the same person. Roger Pemberton, leasing director. Customer misunderstanding. No evidence of misconduct. Matter resolved. Over and over and over. Jordan's hands shook as she turned the pages. All these people, all these complaints, all ignored, while she sat 3 floors above, thinking her building was better than this. Call an emergency tenant meeting, Jordan said, voice deadly calm. Tonight. And get me Diane Westbrook's incident reports for the last year. Marcus hesitated. Jordan, if we go public with this… She looked up, met his eyes. We're not going public, she said quietly. We're going nuclear. 5 o'clock. Jordan stood in the executive bathroom, stared at herself in the mirror. The woman staring back looked exhausted, defeated, humiliated. Jordan turned on the water, washed her face, fixed her makeup, pulled her hair into a tight bun, then walked to her office, pulled out the suit she kept for emergency meetings. Navy, tailored, expensive, CEO mode. By the time she walked back into the conference room, she was transformed. Marcus was already there, laptop open, multiple windows pulled up. "Brief me," Jordan said, sitting down. Marcus turned the screen. "Brianna's TikTok hit 50,000 views," he said. #Galleria racism is trending locally." Jordan's stomach turned. 50,000 people. 50,000 witnesses. "More," she said. "Mrs. Kapoor sent her footage to Channel 7, Marcus continued. "They're interested. Want a statement?" "Not yet." "And Roger called." Marcus's voice was flat. 3 times. Panicking. "Says we need to do damage control." Jordan's jaw tightened. "Tell Roger I'll see him at 7 p.m., conference room A, and tell him to bring his files." Marcus nodded. Started typing. Jordan pulled the evidence toward her. Started organizing, creating packets, one for each person who'd be in that room. Diane's security reports. 14 loitering citations in 12 months, 86% targeting people of color. Vanessa's sales records, 2.1 million in annual revenue, but 47 customer complaints. Company average was 8. Tricia LaMarca's lease, up for renewal next month. That explained why she'd come running to defend Vanessa, protecting her own interests, and Kyle Brennan's HR file. 2 prior harassment accusations, both swept under the rug by Roger. Jordan sat back, looked at the evidence spread across the table. This wasn't random. This wasn't one bad employee. This was systemic. "Marcus," she said quietly. He looked up. "Pull up the ownership docs." He did. Jordan pointed at the screen. Hayes Property Group acquired Riverside Galleria 8 months ago. Every tenant signed new leases with updated conduct clauses. She tapped Section 12.4. Tenant agrees to maintain inclusive, harassment-free environment. 65% reveal. Not just CEO, trained, competent, strategic. She knew the contracts inside and out. "Vanessa violated it," Jordan said. "That's breach of contract. Grounds for termination." Marcus nodded slowly. "You're really doing this." "I'm really doing this." 6:30 p.m. Jordan drafted the email. Read it twice. Sent it. 2. Vanessa Pritchard, Kyle Brennan, Diane Westbrook, Roger Pemberton, Tricia LaMarca. Subject: mandatory tenant meeting, attendance required. Body: RIA incident, 10:24, 3 p.m., Eclat Boutique. Your presence is requested to address formal complaint. Failure to attend may result in lease termination per Section 19.7. Conference room A, 7 p.m. tonight. Her phone started buzzing within 60 seconds. Text messages flooding in. Jordan didn't open them. Just watched the notifications stack up. Marcus's phone pinged. He glanced at it. Showed Jordan the screen. Group text from the tenants. Vanessa to Kyle. "WTF is this? Who complains to corporate over a shoplifter?" Roger to Diane. "Do you know who filed the complaint?" Diane's reply. "Some woman from this afternoon. Can't be serious." Tricia in the group. "Anyone else get this email? Sounds like that woman from Vanessa's store is causing trouble." Jordan's expression didn't change. She just kept organizing evidence, printing documents, preparing. Her phone buzzed again. Different contact this time. Simone, her daughter. Jordan opened it. Simone. "Late night at work. You okay?" Jordan's throat tightened. She typed back, "Long day. Love you." 3 dots appeared. Simone. "Saw the TikTok, Mom. Proud of you." Jordan stared at the message, felt tears burning behind her eyes. She blinked them away, locked her phone, and went back to work. Because in 30 minutes, everyone who dismissed her, humiliated her, told her she didn't belong, was about to walk into a room and find out exactly who they'd been dealing with, and Jordan Hayes was ready. 6:45. 15 minutes before the meeting. Jordan sat alone in the conference room. Evidence packets laid out in neat rows, one for each person. She'd printed everything. Complaint logs, Diane's citation records, Kyle's HR file, Vanessa's sales versus complaints, the lease agreements with Section 12.4 highlighted in yellow, and in the center of each packet, A single frame from Brianna's TikTok. Vanessa's face mid-rant. The words visible in the caption, "You people need to learn." Receipts. Cold. Undeniable. Jordan's phone buzzed again. More texts flooding in. She opened the thread. Roger to Diane. "This has to be about the incident. Can you handle it?" Diane's reply. "Already did." Woman left. Non-issue. Roger. "Then why the formal meeting? Who's the complainant?" Diane. "Don't know. Must be someone she called." Vanessa in another thread to Kyle. "This is ridiculous. We followed protocol. If corporate wants to waste our time over some entitled customer, fine. But I'm not apologizing." Kyle's reply. "Just let me do the talking." "We got this." Trisha to the group. "Is anyone else concerned about this?" Formal complaint sounds serious. Vanessa. "Relax. Probably just some Karen who got told no for once. Management will side with us." They always do. Jordan's jaw clenched. They had no idea. Not a single clue. Still thought they were untouchable. Still thought the system would protect them. Marcus knocked softly on the door. Stepped in. "Channel 7 is running a teaser for the 11 o'clock news," he said quietly. "Local business under fire for alleged discrimination. They're not naming names yet, but—" "Let them run it," Jordan said. Marcus nodded. Set a bottle of water in front of her. "You good?" he asked. Jordan looked at the evidence spread across the table. All the people who'd been hurt. All the complaints that had been dismissed. All the times Roger had written "customer misunderstanding" when he should have written "we have a problem." "I will be," she said quietly. Her phone buzzed one more time. Different number. She opened it. Simone. "Mom. Just saw Channel 7's teaser." "That's your building. Are you okay?" Jordan's throat tightened. She typed back, "I'm fine, baby. Handling it. I'll call you after." 3 dots. Then, "You're doing the right thing. Love you." Jordan set the phone down, took a breath, pulled out her talking points. She'd written them by hand. Old habit from law school. Helped her think. This is not about one incident. This is about a pattern. These are not misunderstandings. These are violations of company policy and basic human dignity. Actions have consequences. Starting tonight. The clock on the wall clicked to 6:55, 5 minutes. Jordan stood, smoothed her suit, checked her reflection in the darkened window. The woman looking back wasn't the same one who'd walked into A-Class 6 hours ago. That woman had been hurt, humiliated, made to feel small. This woman owned every inch of the building beneath her feet, and she was about to remind everyone of that fact. Footsteps in the hallway. Voices. They were arriving. Marcus stood by the door. "You want me in there?" he asked. "Not yet," Jordan said. "Let them get comfortable first." He nodded. Stepped out. Jordan walked to the window, looked down at the galleria below. The lights, the shoppers, the stores. Her father's voice echoed in her head. "Baby girl, you can't just build something and walk away. You have to tend it, protect it, make sure it stays true to what you meant it to be." She'd failed that. Let Roger dismiss complaints because it was easier than confronting hard truths. Let security profile customers because she trusted the system she'd put in place. Let Vanessa turn her store into a hostile space because Jordan had been too busy looking at spreadsheets to see what was happening on the ground floor. Not anymore. The door opened behind her. Jordan didn't turn around. Just listened to them file in. Heavy footsteps. Roger. Lighter ones. Vanessa. The scrape of a chair. Someone sitting down. Murmured conversation. A waste of time. Hey, probably just covering their asses. "Can we make this quick?" Jordan counted to 10. Let them settle. Let them assume they were safe. Then she turned around and walked toward the door to make her entrance. Because here's what they didn't know. The meeting they thought they were walking into. The one where management placated an angry customer and everyone walked away with a slap on the wrist. That meeting didn't exist. The meeting they were actually in, the one where their entire world was about to collapse, that one was about to start. And Jordan Hayes was going to make sure every single one of them remembered it. 7 p.m. Conference room. A was exactly what you'd expect from corporate admin. Long table, 8 chairs, projector screen pulled down, Water pitchers sweating condensation onto the polished wood. Professional, sterile. The kind of place where careers ended quietly. Roger Pemberton arrived first. 50-something, white, thinning hair. Expensive suit that didn't quite hide the nervous sweat already forming at his temples. He took the head of the table, like he was running the meeting, like he had any control over what was about to happen. 7:05. Diane Westbrook walked in, still in her security uniform, badge gleaming, arms crossed like armor. She sat 3 chairs down from Roger. Didn't make eye contact. 7:08. Vanessa Pritchard and Kyle Brennan. Vanessa wore designer heels that clicked against the floor with every step. Blonde hair perfect, makeup flawless. Kyle hulked behind her, 6'2" of gym-built intimidation in a polo shirt. They sat together on Roger's left. Vanessa immediately pulled out her phone, started scrolling. 7:10. Trisha Lamarck rushed in, out of breath, annoyed. "Can we make this quick?" she asked, not sitting down. "I have inventory to finish." "Sit," Roger said, gesturing to an empty chair. Trisha huffed but complied. 7:12. The door opened again. Mrs. Kapoor stepped in quietly, looked around at the assembled group with careful eyes. "Mrs. Kapoor," Roger said, confused. "I don't think you were—" "I invited her," Marcus said from the doorway. "As a witness." Mrs. Kapoor sat in the corner, hands folded in her lap, silent, bearing witness. Roger cleared his throat, checked his watch. 7:15. "All right," he said, trying to take control. "Let's get this over with. There's been a misunderstanding today involving a customer at Eclat. Ms. Pritchard, would you like to explain your side?" Vanessa set down her phone, shrugged. "A woman was loitering in my store for over 30 minutes, touching merchandise but not buying anything. We asked her to leave multiple times. She refused. Got aggressive. We had to call security." She said it like she was recounting a trip to the grocery store. Casual, bored. "That's it." Kyle nodded. "She was hostile from the start, kept arguing. We felt threatened, honestly. Had to protect ourselves." Roger looked at Diane. "And security responded appropriately?" Diane shifted in her seat. "We followed protocol. Customer was asked to leave private property. She refused. That's trespassing. Officer Barnes attempted to escort her off premises, but she continued to be uncooperative." "Define uncooperative," a voice said from the doorway. Everyone turned. Jordan stood there, not in the wrinkled linen pants and worn bag from this afternoon. In a navy suit, heels, hair pulled back, CEO armor. Roger blinked. "I'm sorry, who—" Jordan walked into the room, slowly, deliberately, stood at the opposite end of the table from Roger. "Define uncooperative," she repeated, voice calm as glass. Diane frowned. "Ma'am, this is a private—" "Answer the question," Jordan said quietly. "What did I do that was uncooperative?" 3 seconds of silence. Then Vanessa's face changed. Confusion, recognition, horror. "You—" Vanessa's voice came out strangled. "You're—" "Jordan Hayes," Jordan said, pulling out a business card and placing it in the center of the table. "CEO, Hayes Property Group. We acquired Riverside Galleria in February." The room went silent. Completely. Roger's face drained of all color. "Ms. Hayes," he stammered, I didn't realize you were—" "Clearly," Jordan said. She opened the leather portfolio she'd been carrying, started distributing evidence packets, one in front of Roger, one in front of Diane, Vanessa, Kyle, Trisha. Each packet landed with a soft thud. "Let's review," Jordan said. She walked to the projector, clicked the remote, the screen lit up. First slide, Eclat Boutique. Lease agreement, section 12.4, highlighted in yellow. Tenant agrees to maintain inclusive, harassment-free environment for all customers regardless of race, religion, national origin, or economic status. Jordan read aloud. "Ms. Pritchard, you signed this 8 months ago. Do you remember?" Vanessa's mouth opened, closed. Yes, but—" "Good." Jordan clicked to the next slide. Complaint log, 12 entries, 9 highlighted in red. 12 formal complaints filed against Eclat Boutique in the last 18 months. 9 involving customers of color. Every single one dismissed by our leasing director. She looked at Roger. As, quote, customer misunderstandings. Roger shifted in his seat. Ms. Hayes, those were investigated, were they? Jordan clicked again. Brianna's TikTok video began playing on the screen. Vanessa's voice filled the conference room. You people need to learn. This isn't some Goodwill where you can just touch everything without buying. The video played in full. Vanessa crumpling the handbook, Kyle on his radio, the crowd watching, Jordan standing perfectly still in the center of the store. When it ended, silence. Vanessa's face was white. That was, I didn't mean 50,000 views, Jordan said quietly. As of an hour ago. #Galleria Racism is trending. Channel 7 is running the story at 11. She clicked to the next slide. Diane's citation records. Bar graph showing racial disparities. Chief Westbrook, 14 loitering citations issued in the last 12 months. 86% targeting black and brown shoppers. Can you explain that pattern? Diane's jaw tightened. Those were legitimate? Legitimate? Jordan's voice hardened. You cited a 17-year-old black girl for loitering while she was actively making a purchase. That's in your report. Next slide. Kyle's HR file. Mr. Brennan, 2 prior harassment complaints. One from a female employee who said you made her uncomfortable. One from a customer you followed through 3 stores. Both complaints dismissed by… Jordan looked at Roger again. Our leasing director. Who decided they weren't worth pursuing? Kyle stared at the table, said nothing. Jordan clicked to Vanessa's file. Ms. Pritchard, 2.1 million in annual sales. Impressive. But 47 customer complaints. Company average is 8. Most stores in this mall operate for years without a single formal complaint. You've had 47 in 18 months. Vanessa's voice cracked. I didn't know you were… How was I supposed to know? Jordan leaned forward. That's the point, she said, voice cutting through the room. You shouldn't need to know who I am to treat me with respect. You shouldn't need to see my title or my bank account or my credentials to offer me basic human dignity. She straightened up. But since you do care about titles, let's be clear about mine. I own this building. I own your lease. I own every square foot you stand on. And as of tonight, I'm exercising the authority that comes with that. Jordan looked at each of them in turn. Vanessa Pritchard, your lease is terminated, effective immediately under Section 19.7. Termination for cause. You have 30 days to vacate. We'll honor your security deposit minus damages for breach of conduct clause. Vanessa shot to her feet. You can't do this. I'll sue. Jordan slid a paper across the table. Section 19.7. You signed it. My lawyers reviewed it this afternoon. It's airtight. Vanessa grabbed the paper, stared at it, hands shaking. Jordan turned to Kyle. Kyle Brennan, you're banned from Galleria property. If you return, you'll be charged with trespassing. Security has your photo. Kyle's face went red, but he didn't speak, just sat there, fists clenched. Chief Westbrook, Jordan continued, you're placed on administrative leave pending an external investigation into security practices. I'm bringing in a third-party firm, full audit. You'll be contacted by HR tomorrow. Diane's expression cracked. Ms. Hayes, please, I have a family. So do the people you profiled, Jordan said quietly. So does the 17-year-old girl you harassed. So does Mrs. Kapoor's niece, who won't come to this mall anymore because of how you treated her. She looked at Roger. He was sweating through his shirt now. Roger Pemberton, you're demoted to Assistant Leasing Director effective immediately. Marcus Chen will oversee all tenant relations going forward. You'll report to him, and you'll be completing mandatory bias training along with every other staff member in this building. Roger opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Finally to Tricia. Ms. Lamarck, your lease renewal is contingent on completion of bias training and a 6-month probationary period. One more complaint. One, and you're out. Tricia nodded quickly. Yes, of course. I understand. Vanessa slammed her hands on the table. This is bullshit, she screamed. You're destroying my career over some what? Jordan asked, voice dangerously quiet. Vanessa's mouth worked, but she couldn't say it. Not with everyone watching. Not with Mrs. Kapoor sitting in the corner. Not with the evidence spread across the table. Get out, Jordan said. Vanessa grabbed her purse, stormed toward the door. Kyle followed. As he passed Jordan, he bumped into the table, knocked a chair over, let it crash to the floor. didn't pick it up, just kept walking. The door slammed behind them. Roger sat frozen in his seat. "Ms. Hayes," he said, voice shaking, "please. I have a mortgage. 2 kids in college. I made mistakes, but—" "You made choices," Jordan corrected. 9 times you had the opportunity to listen, to investigate, to do your job, and 9 times you chose not to. Be grateful you still have a job." Roger stood slowly, gathered his packet, left without another word. Diane followed, shell-shocked, silent. Trisha practically ran for the door. Then it was just Jordan, Marcus, and Mrs. Kapoor. Mrs. Kapoor stood, walked over, looked at Jordan with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she said quietly. "My niece. Last year, they followed her through that store until she cried and left. She was 17. She never came back. Her voice broke. No one listened when I complained. No one cared. But you listened." Jordan's throat tightened. "I should have listened sooner," she said. "You listened when it mattered," Mrs. Kapoor replied. She squeezed Jordan's hand, then left. The door closed. Jordan stood alone with Marcus in the conference room. Evidence scattered across the table. Empty chairs. The aftermath. "You good?" Marcus asked quietly. Jordan looked at the overturned chair Kyle had left, at the crumpled papers Vanessa had abandoned, at the water rings on the polished wood. "No," she said honestly. "But I will be." Marcus nodded. "What's next?" Jordan straightened her shoulders. "We implement everything I promised. Bias training, body cameras, independent oversight, and we find tenants who actually believe in what this place is supposed to be." She looked at him. "We do better." "Yeah," Marcus said. "We do." They turned off the lights, walked out together. Behind them, the conference room sat empty. But the impact of what had happened there, that was just beginning. 9 p.m. The Galleria was closed. Shutters pulled down over storefronts, lights dimmed, the atrium empty except for the soft trickle of the fountain and the hum of the air conditioning. Jordan walked through it slowly, Marcus beside her, their footsteps echoing in the vast space. They stopped in front of Eclat. The boutique sat dark behind its glass walls, mannequins frozen mid-pose, handbags displayed like artifacts. The open sign flipped to closed. For now. Forever, if Jordan had her way. "You okay?" Marcus asked quietly. Jordan stared at the store, at the spot where she'd stood 6 hours ago while Vanessa told her she didn't belong, where Kyle had reached for her arm, where Diane had threatened her with arrest, where the whole humiliating scene had played out in front of dozens of witnesses. "I will be," she said finally. Marcus nodded. Didn't push, just stood there with her in the quiet. "You know what hurts most?" Jordan said after a long moment. Her voice was soft, tired. "It wasn't the words. It wasn't even the way they looked at me like I was dirt on their shoe." She turned to face him. "It was the assumption that I didn't belong, in a space I own." Her voice cracked slightly. "How many others feel that every single day? Walk through these doors expecting to be treated like criminals? Expecting to be followed and questioned and dismissed?" She gestured at the empty atrium. "I built this place to be different, to be better, and instead I let it become exactly what I was trying to escape." Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then, "That's why we do this work," he said. "So it can be different." Jordan nodded slowly, took a breath. "New policy," she said, voice stronger now. "Effective Monday. Every tenant takes mandatory bias training. Every security officer gets body cameras. And we're hiring a full-time diversity and inclusion director." "I'll draft the memo," Marcus said. "And I want quarterly audits," Jordan continued. "Anonymous customer feedback, real accountability." "Done." They started walking again. Past the fountain, past the food court, past the directory with its map of stores. Toward the exit, a janitor was emptying trash near the main entrance. Earl, the same man who'd stood in the crowd earlier, who'd said his daughter had been through the same thing. He looked up as they approached, paused. "Ms. Hayes?" he said tentatively. Jordan stopped. "Earl," she said, remembering his name tag from earlier. He set down his trash bag. "I just wanted to say thank you," he said quietly. "My daughter, she's 23, smart as hell, works 2 jobs, And last year, she came here to buy a birthday present for her mama. His voice got thick. They followed her through 3 stores, security, asking if she needed help. Watching her like she was gonna steal something, she left crying. Hasn't been back since. He looked at Jordan with watery eyes. But tonight, when I told her what you did, she said maybe she'll come back. Maybe it's safe now. Jordan's throat tightened. That's all I wanted, she said softly. For it to be safe. For everyone. Earl smiled. You did good today, Ms. Hayes. Real good. He picked up his trash bag, kept working. Jordan and Marcus walked out into the parking lot. The night air was cool, quiet. Jordan's car sat under a streetlight. She stopped before getting in, looked back at the building. The Galleria rose against the night sky, glass and steel and ambition. Her father's dream, her legacy. And tonight, for the first time in a long time, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she was doing it justice. Go home, Marcus said gently. Get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be chaos. Jordan nodded. Thank you, she said, for having my back today. Always, Marcus replied. She got in her car, drove home through empty streets. Her phone buzzed the whole way. News alerts, text messages, emails. She ignored all of them, just drove and thought and tried to process everything that had happened. 3 months later, the Galleria looked different, felt different. Jordan walked through it on a Saturday morning, her usual routine now. Present, visible, paying attention. The space where Ekla had been was now the Voices of Riverside Community Art Gallery. Free admission, local artists' work displayed on the walls where designer handbags used to sit. Children's programs on weekends. A safe space, an inclusive space. The kind of space Jordan had always wanted this building to be. New tenants had moved in, 40% of them BIPOC-owned businesses, a Black-owned bookstore, a Latina woman's bakery, an Asian family's tea shop. Voices that had been missing before. Perspectives that made the Galleria richer, fuller, more alive. Security walked the floors with body cameras clipped to their uniforms. Citations were down 70%. Complaints had dropped 82%. And the anonymous feedback forms? They told stories Jordan needed to hear. First time I felt welcome here. Thank you for listening. My daughter actually wants to come shopping now. Small victories. Important victories. Jordan's office had changed too. New frames on the wall. A letter from Earl's daughter, handwritten, thanking Jordan for making the Galleria safe again. Brianna's original TikTok, printed and signed, for sparking the movement. And the Mayor's Community Leadership Award, presented at a ceremony last month. Jordan had accepted it on behalf of everyone who'd spoken up, filed complaints, refused to be silent. She was just the one with the power to act. They were the ones with the courage to demand change. 6 a.m. on a Sunday. Jordan's alarm went off. She rolled out of bed, laced up her running shoes, headed to Riverside Park, the same route she ran every morning, past the playground, through the trees, along the path that circled the lake, and to her father's memorial bench. She stopped, pulled fresh flowers from her bag, tulips, his favorite, set them on the bench, sat down beside them. Hey, Dad, she said quietly. The park was empty, silent except for birdsong and the distant sound of traffic. It's been a hard few months, Jordan continued, but I think we're doing it right now, building something that matters, something you'd be proud of. She touched the flowers. I almost let it slip away, almost stopped paying attention. But I'm here now. I'm watching. I'm listening. A breeze rustled through the trees. Jordan closed her eyes. Hope I made you proud, she whispered. She sat there for a while longer, then stood, finished her run, went home, showered, made coffee, and sat down at her kitchen table to answer emails. One caught her attention. Forwarded from Marcus. Subject line, FYI, FWD, legal notice. Jordan opened it. Marcus's message was brief. Vanessa Pritchard filed wrongful termination suit. Claims religious discrimination. Her lawyer is, well, see attachment. Jordan clicked the attachment. Legal notice from Pemberton and Associates, Rogers Brothers firm. Of course. Jordan read through the complaint. It was weak, grasping at straws. claiming that Jordan's termination of Vanessa's lease was motivated by religious bias, despite the fact that religion had never been mentioned once. Just a desperate attempt to avoid consequences. Jordan's jaw tightened. She hit reply, typed, "Discovery should be interesting. Pull all her emails, every text, every communication. If they want to make this public, we'll show everyone exactly why she was terminated." She hit send, set down her phone. And here's the thing about justice. It's not a one-time event. It's not a meeting where you fire the bad guys and everyone lives happily ever after. It's ongoing, exhausting, a constant fight to make sure the changes you implement actually stick, to make sure the systems you build don't decay back into the same old patterns, to make sure that 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 3 years from now, the Galleria is still the safe, inclusive space it's supposed to be. Jordan understood that now. This wasn't the end of the story. This was just the beginning. Vanessa would fight back, and Roger would try to reclaim power. Other tenants would test the boundaries. But Jordan was ready, because her father had taught her something important. The system doesn't break itself. You have to be willing to break it first. And then you have to be willing to stand guard over the pieces and make sure they're rebuilt the right way. That's the work. That's the legacy. And Jordan Hayes? She was just getting started.